Hello! Welcome to Philosophy, Science, and Religion. I'm Chandler Klebs, and I'm here with George Ortega, Slattery, and wsdtime.
Yeah!
Yeah! Okay, so today, I'm not sure what all we'll be talking about, but George wanted to talk about the most amazing things of reality or science or the universe or philosophy or whatever. And so I'm not sure where to go, but I'm sure we'll talk about a variety of things. So, George, how about you just start out by telling us what you had in mind?
All right, let's start out with one thing and we can go on to explore as many as possible. So basically, this is that we know kind of like our understanding is we can go outward, further and further. And at least according to logic, we can keep going outward. And like with time, we can go backward before the Big Bang. And logic tells us that we can keep going backward, never stop. And that we presume that going forward, we would go eternally into the future. But the one kind of like dimension, in a sense, that we don't think of that much, that just boggles my mind, is it seems that we can also go inward. Like starting, for example, at an atom, then going to the quarks, then going, much smaller than that. And, the logic seems to say that we can keep going smaller and smaller infinitely. And so, like, what it seems to suggest is that within this one all-encompassing universe, eternal, infinite universe, there seems to be an infinite number of infinitely minute universes. And again, that just boggles my mind that could be so.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean there because, yeah, it seems like no matter how small something is, there's always something smaller that's inside of it.
Yep.
Though they say that
Or if it's
there's
human species going backwards.
a lot of scientists say there's an actual limit called the Planck scale where you can't go any lower basically.
Oh,
so,
a Planck instance or whatever. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not a physicist, so I don't know about that. Like how many scientists agree with that or which ones don't and why. But I do know that there is this supposed level that they think you can't go any farther than that for some physical reason.
Trick, I'm familiar with it. It's like the Planck constant, I think. And so, the idea is, I think that's one of the basic principles of quantum mechanics is that, energy is stored in these quanta, these packets, and this packet of energy, I guess the Planck scale packet, that energy can't be transferred at any smaller than that. That's the basic unit for energy transfer. So that seems to, I guess that's what they found. But yeah, my question is, does that mean that you can't go inward within that smallest quantity? And again, I don't know if you, in order to do that, there would have to be a transfer of energy. But, it's just that the logic says that, for example, there doesn't seem to be in any of the three other dimensions, eternity forward and backward and space outward, there doesn't seem to be a limit. So if there was a limit going inward, that would be kind of a curiosity also.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of I forget what it's called, but it's the idea that where if you were to walk half distance to a point, so imagine you're at point A, you have point A and point B, and you walk half distance between point A and point B and stop, and then you walk. Then that new point is your next point, and you do half distance from that point to B, and stop, and then half distance to that point from that point to B and stop. You can infinitely go a half step and never reach B. so you can say I'm gonna go. It's just like logic tells us that you can keep walking half. You keep going a half distance, and you'll never reach the end, basically, which is kind of weird to think about. But obviously, we can't do it because we're physical beings, and just physically walking, But if we were to just think about just having things, just saying let's go half this distance and then half this distance and half this distance, you can do that infinitely.
Yeah, and I guess that corresponds with like, I guess in math there's this kind of like idea that like within any 2 points there's an infinite number of points in between.
Right.
I guess.
Right.
Yeah, like with a line or something. Okay. But
And-
yeah, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah, and you know what you mentioned earlier, George, about like if you could time travel, that you could infinitely go back into the past forever or into the future forever if you're going forward. Like, and that gets into like the infinite regress that I brought up in plenty of podcasts, and that blows people's mind because I see no reason how there could be a beginning because there's always something before that.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. I mean, like reality has always been, gazillions and gazillions of eons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I think the thing that's most mind-boggling to me is there's either an infinite regress that just constantly goes back, which I can't wrap my mind around an infinite regress. I just can't do it. But likewise, I can't wrap my mind around an acausal event, which I think you need either an infinite regress or an acausal event, but they're both very counterproductive or counterintuitive. So I can't. It's just so hard to wrap your mind around either of those concepts. So that's what I find mind-boggling.
Yeah, and it's similar to like, they say that the Big Bang, space expanded. All right, so what did it expand into? You would think that there would have to be space. So yeah.
You'd think so, but yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's where people get tripped up. Like when they talk about the whole Big Bang thing, which I still don't believe, by the way. Like this whole everything was smaller than an atom somehow and then got bigger. I don't see how that would be. But even so, there always had to be reality, and we're talking whatever there was before what we now call our space-time universe or whatever. There's always something.
Yep.
Yeah, and Chandler, it's interesting because like I remember reading in a book that like somebody wrote that, well, the universe is at one point the size of a pea, but then I've read that like, well, it's like the size of an atom. And I wonder, what the authoritative statement on that is. Like, is it like an infinitesimally small, point in whatever, or like, do they have any dimensions to it? That's like, the conventional consensus.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they have an actual dimension that, but the idea is that if you because we understand the expansion, if you were to backtrack the entire expansion, it would have to compress basically into the smallest as you can go, basically. But that's the idea about it anyway. But then there's some theories that there's something before the Big Bang, like there's cosmological theories that have that as well. So.
Yeah.
And then, like, yeah, a lot tells us there'd have to be something before. And so you're right. So then the question is, like, before the Big Bang, what were the dimensions of that? So, yeah, because, yeah, is it like the Big Bangs and crunches? Yeah.
Yeah, there's also ideas that, like, there's the multiverse theory, that there's ideas that
I don't know, but I kind of believe in that for some reason. I think there may be a multiverse, more than one universe out there.
There's ideas that universes spring about through, say, a black hole. So if at one end of the black hole you have a universe springing forth, basically. So it might be that our universe, or what we see as an expansion event, came from a black hole of another universe. So that's another theory, I guess. But you'd still need an infinite regress of, so it would be like an infinite regress of universes.
Yeah, and then you have to wonder, these other universes, how much would they be like or different than the universe that we're living in then?
Right. Yeah, there's even the theory that it's kind of like evolution, where the laws of physics are different for each universe, and it kind of depends on how, the causality that led to each different universe. Just like we're different than other animals, universes are different because of yeah, I mean, talk about the laws of physics themselves are different in each universe, or not completely the same.
Well, like here's an idea related to that. I had ideas and this just may sound nuts, but imagine a cold fire, like a fire that produces coldness rather than heat, or a flash dark, or like a flashlight that is flash dark and it produces darkness instead of light.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Going back to
I would believe that.
Going back to the universes and all. One thing I read, I mentioned before, this book. It's an amazing book. The Singularity is Near by Ray Kurzweil. Incidentally, is one of Google's top people. Top executives. Ray Kurzweil. He's done a lot of research in different fields, and one of the things he says that I find it hard to believe. I kind of like. It seems like he miscalculated, but he's the evidence he presents seems reasonable, and he says that like it according to various calculations he did, he's kind of like concluding that it's very unlikely that there are life forms out in the universe that are as intelligent as we are, and the reason he claims is. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. I got to look more into it. He says, like, if there were, then we would be receiving signals from them. But if that were the case,
Okay.
that would just.
I'm gonna ask you something. You just it's like talking to a more intelligent species. It's like us talking to a dog, basically. If we got a signal and you come back and you get a signal back from out there, will we even understand it?
And
That's what I'm saying. These
There's
are
also-
more intelligent beings.
There's also the theory that eventually any intelligent beings that evolve end up destroying themselves at some point. So 14 billion years.
Like we are on the verge of doing.
There might have there might have been alien races that already destroyed themselves, and since we're in our time frame and they were in their time frame, we'll never communicate. So that's the other theory. And then the other theory is the fact that that we're millions or billions of light years away from. I mean, I'm not sure what's the distance between the closest star that we have, which is what's our closest star? I forget the name of it. It starts with a C.
Alpha Centauri.
Yeah.
Alpha Centauri.
I thought 4.7 light years.
Yeah, I mean,
Say the closest star, closest galaxy.
just the closest star I'm talking about.
4.7 light years, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's say it's 4.7 light years. That is traveling at the speed of light to get.
It'll take 4 years to get there. We know.
Right. So I mean, so the chances of an alien race ever reaching us is slim, unless they have extremely advanced technology that can travel.
Exactly. Why would they deal with us when they got the state-of-the-art technology they can use at their disposal?
That being said,
Yeah.
I'm agnostic on whether there's other life in the universe. We really don't know how.
I'm agnostic too, but I'm not oblivious of it.
Well, what I gotta say is, if there's any life forms out there more intelligent than us, they're more intelligent. They're intelligent enough to know not to mess with humans. I don't think we'd be worth their time.
Besides,
Yeah,
if they did attack, I guarantee it'll be a quick and swift annihilation of our species. But because of their advanced technology. But
I think you're right, WC. I think that if they're like advanced enough to be able to communicate with us, it's kind of like we don't try to communicate with like single-celled organisms. We don't even try, right? So it's like maybe they're communicating amongst themselves.
Yeah, like I said, it's like it's trying to communicate. Okay, Sure, we talk to our cat to some degree. We know it is, but let's try having a conversation with our cat, or dog, or hamster, or rat, or bug.
Yeah.
I think once we travel, like there's certain moons in our own solar system that once we get there, and if we're able to detect signs of life that aren't our own biology, basically that have evolved on other planets, just signs of life, like fossils or any kind of something that tells us that there was once life on that planet, then the chances are the universe is infested with life. Basically, life is everywhere in the universe. But if
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I think his thing was, yeah, I would, I don't think he contests life being everywhere, but just like life that's like as intelligent or more intelligent than us. Part of it, guys, you got to read this book. It's like one of the themes is that like information processing and civilization and technology and invention is expanding and increasing and developing exponentially. So, for example, it took like, 100 years to get from like the steam engine to now, and it's taken 10 years to go like, 1,000 times beyond the steam engine. I mean, stuff like that. And it's continuing to expand exponentially.
Right. I mean, we're hitting a new era. It was 30 years ago. We didn't even have, we had dial-up internet connection, and most people didn't even know how to use that. So that was 30.
Dial-up was shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Use my slang, but it was shit.
So today we're all interconnected, and artificial intelligence is increasing because of that, because of the internet and things like that. So it's just going to go. It's just going to boom from there. It's just you're going to see a huge spike. That's going to be a quick spike, basically.
Right. Another thing he says is like sometimes we think of development being linear, kind of like predictable along a kind of a steady incline. But you're right. Then there are these spikes, like from those tubes, those vacuum tubes, to transistors, and just when a new unexpected technology just like changes the entire paradigm.
Right. And I think the singularity he's talking, I haven't read his book, but I think the singularity that most people talk about when they talk about this is transhumanism or transconsciousness, where we are going to take on a different form. Basically, we're eventually going to replace our biological bodies with technological bodies. So.
Yeah, he says like very soon, like these nano robots, nanotechnology, we could have these tiny little computers in us, keeping us healthy and just like, allowing us to like live eternally. Our cells wouldn't decompose anymore, reversing the aging process. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Right. And you can see how that could happen. I mean, all we are is biological robots, basically. So it's just replacing parts. We do that now. We replace valves and things like that within our.
The machine become one.
Yeah, I mean we're transitioning as we speak, in some degree, and eventually the blind people will have eye replacements, right? So like they'll have cameras for eyes instead of.
Oh man, that would be so awesome.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, it's just a matter of connecting different hardware. So.
Yeah,
I think it.
It's like this show called. You ever saw a show called Bionic Woman?
No, but sounds interesting.
Oh yeah, what happened was she gets in a crash, right? She got bionic legs, a bionic arm.
Yeah.
And well, the story is they try to make her to a soldier, so they gave her some enhancements.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much.
I grew up with the show The $6 Million Man, which was about the Bionic Man, basically.
Yeah.
So that's back in the day, but
it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Another thing that he says will happen is, like, for example, right now, imagine all the information that's accessible through the internet. I mean, like it's it's beyond imagination. And like he says that eventually we human beings will be able to like tap into that with our minds. So like all that stuff will be part of our biological thinking processes.
So like you can Google something without needing to have a separate computer.
Or you can figure out a problem, work on a problem, not using just like the information that's stored in your memories in your biological brain, but using all of the information that's on the internet.
Right.
The Matrix is coming.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I read an article where they already starting to like you can program memories into a person's brain, and like false memories of something that never took place, and you can wipe out certain memories, which they're going to use for certain problematic memories and things like that. But
we got to solve first, because I can see how they can be used for malicious use.
Yeah, and then once that's connected to the internet, you can pretty much learn how to fly a helicopter in about 30 seconds, right? So,
you guys saw that movie Her, right?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, you gotta see this.
Is it on Netflix?
Her?
And Her, yeah, and I'm not gonna talk about it because if I talk about it, I'll ruin it. So like, you gotta see that film. It's kind of like iRobot, kind of another one that's like very recent. It's Ex Machina.
I saw that one. I saw.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, I gotta watch that. I never heard
Her. Once you guys watch Her, we should devote kind of like at least a part of an episode to that.
It's on Netflix.
I borrowed it from my library. I don't know, or no, actually I got it from Redbox.
Ah, okay. All right.
Her. Yeah, so.
Because that sounds obscure as shit. One of those type of movies that's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna be hard to find.
No, it's out there. It's totally out there. You could rent it $2.99 on Amazon, I'm sure.
I don't have Amazon. I have Netflix.
I'm pretty sure that I started watching that movie with my mom. We got so disgusted halfway through it that we never finished it.
Well, Chandler, I mean, I can. Is it like? I can say this without ruining it. It is kind of like that. Like these two people kind of like develop relationships with computers that are programmed to like actually be as conscious as human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. It's like, but you might want to see it again just to see the end. Again, I don't want to ruin it, but it's pretty mind blowing the way how it develops.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in it anyway.
Yeah,
right? So, yeah. So what's other really amazing stuff?
Quantum entanglement seems a little strange to me.
Quantum entanglement.
Yeah, where you have action at a distance, where you have a spin of a particle, and then a particle at a far distance will spin the opposite direction, causally, supposedly. But
right. So let's get into that a bit more. So like, if my understanding is correct, relativity prohibits acceleration from below the speed of light to faster than the speed of light. It doesn't necessarily prohibit constant superluminal communication. And so apparently this communication, if that's what's happening between entangled particles, for example, let's say on either side of the universe, that communication is supposed to be thousands of times faster than the speed of light. So it is. It's like, so I mean, like, how does that happen?
Right. Well, yeah. So it's almost like it's bypassing the universe. Like if you can imagine that you have space-time, and it's somehow bypassing all of that, and these two things are connected without having to go through space, basically, without having to travel at all. So that's
the warp space, basically.
Well, it's because it's instantaneous action at a distance. So as soon as one particle spins, the other particle spins in the opposite direction instantaneously, supposedly, is what it is.
Trick,
So,
do you think that dark matter or dark energy might have something to do with it?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, dark matter or dark energy is really just, I would call it, I guess, dark gravity. It just has to do with gravity, but or at least what we're able to detect is gravity, and that's what we're. So that's all we know about dark energy, is that we can detect gravity. So I don't know. I'm not even sure what dark energy is. So
Right, because
I don't think anybody.
Right, because I mean, like, do you think that maybe relativity doesn't apply to it? That somehow, it's exempt from it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
They say the galaxies are going faster than the speed of light, so it's possible.
they say what?
The galaxies, they're swirling faster than the speed of light. That's what they say.
No, they're traveling pretty fast, but according to physics, nothing travels faster than the speed of light, or even as. I mean, only light travels as fast as the speed of light. So,
As far as we know, anyway.
There's a theory of tachyons. Tachyons are these theoretical particles that travel faster.
Yeah, but here's a problem. Catching them is fucking impossible.
What is?
Seeing them is going to be fucking impossible if they actually exist.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know.
Yeah, because you said faster than light. Yeah.
They're theoretical. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the theory for tachyons is, but it's a one postulate that they exist, and they travel faster than the speed of light. And if that's the case, then that does mess up relativity theory a little bit, because relativity is based on the idea that nothing travels faster than the speed of light. So.
All right, so Trick, what else could you speculate on in terms of entanglement? Is there other kinds of, like, questions that it invites, or just, what more is part of that mystery?
I don't know. That I just find it really baffling that it's instantaneous. They say that we might be able to create some kind of, like, communication between by entangling two particles and travel. If we travel, we can have instantaneous communication or something like that. I don't know if that's just science fiction or if that's something that will be possible in the future, but I don't know. I'm not sure. It's just one of those things that baffles me. Now, some people say that it's not true, that we can't. It's not. It's kind of just an illusion of particles entanglement, but it's not really happening. So,
well,
I don't know.
I mean, because, like, it was derived from Bell's theorem, right? And didn't Elaine aspect and I guess, like, subsequent experiments verify it? I thought that had been, they'd done the experiments.
They've done experiments and everything, but like I said, it's sort of that's sort of incompatible with special relativity as well. So for special relativity, there's no such thing as absolute simultaneity. But for entangled particles, you kind of need these two particles to be simultaneously spinning. So it needs to be absolute simultaneous. But and this gets complicated, but from a different point of view, one could be happening at one time and another happening at another time, at least according to special relativity. And so that's a kind of a conflict with the two different theories. So I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah, no, that's totally amazing. Chandler, what else should we be exploring?
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't understand the stuff you guys were just talking about, honestly. But yeah, I mean, there's got to be something else to think about that's amazing. Of course, I mean, you guys, we all know that it's amazing to think that we don't have free will, that at first that's kind of mind blowing, and we've talked a lot about that, obviously, just about everything being caused by something else.
Here's one. I want to get your take on this. Chandler, you and I think did a podcast on this several weeks ago. Basically, for example, like let's say we got a headache or something. So that's kind of like our consciousness is kind of like hurting or something. I don't know. It's a mind phenomenon, right? And then we take some aspirin, and it makes it better. So that's kind of like matter affecting mind in a sense, right? Matter affecting consciousness. And then there's other examples, for example, like the placebo effect, where a person believes that they're getting a medicine, even though it's a sugar pill or something, and their mind affects matter. It might affect like the structure of their brain, so they feel less pain or something. So then the question becomes, just like mass and energy are different manifestations of the same phenomena, fundamental phenomena, could it be that mind and matter are different manifestations of the same phenomenon?
I'm a physicalist, so I think that mind and matter are the same thing. Like, I think mind, in my view, mind is a property of specific configurations of matter. So like you have water is wet, or a ball is round and rolls. You have certain configurations of brain states with electrical, chemical things going on that have the property of conscious experience, which that's another kind of amazing thing. It's just baffling that property would arise, right? That property is here, but it's obvious it is. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. I think everything's physical. Yeah.
Yeah, and people don't. Our language doesn't reflect it, but yeah, it makes absolute sense. It would be.
Yeah, I mean, some people are mind-body dualists. They think the mind is something separate from the body or separate from matter. But I think all evidence supports that it isn't. That at least I mean, we have correlations. We have, for example, we've learned the correlations for back pain. We can actually take a MRI and determine if a person has back pain without them telling us they have back pain by looking at that MRI scan and looking at to see what specific parts light up. This is a new thing that just came about, where they actually can observe the correlates of pain, and then later on they can verify it with the person. Yeah, I experienced back pain at that point, and it's a absolute correlation. So we know that the brain and consciousness are intertwined at the very least. So I just think it's a property of the brain. It's just, but it's the weird part about this property is it's subjective and only in a personal thing where other people can't experience it, at least yet. Now we might be able to hook up later on, and once technology increases, we might be able to hook up brains in a way that we can actually experience what other people experience. Hook up two brains together in kind of a peer-to-peer type situation where one is experiencing the other's state.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me. Go ahead, Chandler.
I was just going to say, that brings up the question of whether or not we would want to. Like, it might be scary to experience what somebody else is experiencing.
Yeah, did you guys ever see the movie, what was it? It had a date in it, but the movie was about is they had this like machine that recorded people's brain states, and then you could take that machine and put it on someone else's head, and they would experience whatever that person experienced. And then the movie was about some serial killer who would kill people in really bad ways with the thing on their head, and then other people would experience that. So it was kind of a messed up movie, but yeah, it's kind of interesting because I could see that technology happening.
That reminds me, part of Kurzweil's book, he says that like we're not far from the time where virtual reality will be indistinguishable to us from actual reality. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I just played my nephew's. He's got a PlayStation virtual reality headset, and I just put it. You put that thing on, and you look around, and it just seems so real. So he had this thing where you're in this like carnival type roller coaster thing, and I actually felt sick going up and down the roller coaster. You feel all the things.
Hey, I put those on. Those if I'm not feeling the G-force, it's not same to me.
Oh no, I don't know. My stomach dropped.
Oh no, I put it on. I'm like this. I'm like looking down and up there, but I don't feel the G-forces from it.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess I wasn't a roller coaster, the one I did. So, yeah, I know what you mean by the G-force. Like you feel like, I guess the wind hitting your face.
Negative G's, positive G's,
Yeah, I understand that, but still, I mean, I don't know. It just seems so real to me. It's and that's just today, right? We're not even at the advanced stage yet, but there's the headsets that they have today that are pretty darn good right now. So
yeah.
All right, guys, I want to introduce Chandler. Do you have another thing or?
Oh, just go ahead, George.
All right, this is pretty cool. All right. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but this composer, Burt Bacharach, happens to be my second cousin. He's like this famous composer. So like, I just noticed that he put out his autobiography a couple of years ago. So I was listening to it. I borrowed it from the library. I usually don't read any fiction or biographies. I got like interested. I enjoyed it. So then like I borrowed the biography on Timothy Leary. Okay, Timothy Leary, if you guys know, he was the Harvard professor that basically popularized LSD. Okay, so from that I start kind of like learning about, I've researched this before. There's certain chemicals like LSD and DMT and peyote that they're not just about mood enhancement, about blissing out and stuff. They're not like heroin or something. They, under these chemicals, especially like DMT, the people who are on it communicate with beings. So the idea, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm in Central Park. A bunch of people.
We hear a whole bunch of people making noise.
So the idea is we think of kind of like going out to space to kind of like venture into new realms for different beings, or we think of sometimes going underwater, right? But it could be that these chemicals like DMT and LSD actually give us access to different realms, different worlds that exist. That we can't access them unless we're in that kind of like state of consciousness. And then I had another kind of like a thought about it, that like sometimes there's this such thing as a bad trip. And for example, like there's actually this drug that's called salvia divinorum that happens to be legal. And I experimented with it just like several years ago, just even a little, and it's scary. In other words, this thing is legal because it's so unpleasant that people wouldn't want to do it. But the idea is that, like, the thought that came to my mind is that, like, let's say there are other realms. I don't want to call them dimensions, because dimensions confuses it with like the 4 physical dimensions and all. So like different realms where different beings exist, and sometimes like, people have a good trip, so they kind of like are accessing these beings in a way that's acceptable to them or whatever. And then there are other times, let's say when they take too much of a certain agent, then these beings, are actively, like they're purposely scaring the hell out of the people that enter into their realm in that way. So what do you guys think about this idea that like there actually may be various realms of beings that exist that but we can't generally, for example, like we can only see like a certain spectrum of light in the spectrum of electromagnetic spectrum, right? So in that same way, we ordinarily can only detect consciousnesses in a certain spectrum, but these drugs allow us to like expand our scope of spectrums and allow us to like enter these other realms. What do you guys think?
I'd be very skeptical. I especially when it comes to drugs. I think psychedelics can create hallucinations and things like that. I mean, it's just playing with brain states. It's kind of like doing virtual reality in a sense. You're just playing with a brain state to reconfigure that brain state to experience other things that. But I don't think those things actually exist. I mean, I don't. That's the whole point about drugs is that it creates these fictitious things in your head. So it changes your brain state that in a way that your perceptions are altered, basically.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's interesting, but I'd have to agree with Trick that can be very dangerous. Now, here's something. Now, let's suppose you had some people who were on drugs, and then they started like communicating with each other telepathically and weird stuff like that. And there was some way of like verifying that people were able to transfer any information. Like let's say that you've got these two people on LSD or whatever, okay? And so one of them has like the script of some, like, say, Shakespeare play or something. They have like the whole script of a play or lyrics of some song or something like that written on a piece of paper that the other person knows nothing about. They don't know it at all, but they're able to communicate. The brain state is able to communicate telepathically with this other person, so that they can read everything that's on a paper in a whole other room by a different person. That would be weird.
Yeah. Now that being said, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Chick. Go ahead.
That being said, I some people say that DMT and some of these other drugs create allow people to open up, expand their mind a little bit, give them a little more creativity and things like that. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So I don't necessarily think that psychedelic drugs might. I mean, I wouldn't demote them, I guess. I wouldn't necessarily promote them either, but I just don't think that they're actually accessing reality, but they could help in other ways. So
right, no, I think there definitely are some therapeutic uses. I think they've experimented with, for example, very small doses, the doses that aren't nearly enough to induce hallucinations, but
right.
Because they allow some insight. But all right, like Trick, let's go. Let's say we follow your paradigm that basically they aren't real realities, but they exist in our brain. We're imagining them. So then the question becomes, why would like taking, let's say, a lot of a certain substance just like create a reality that just scares the hell out of us, that is so frightening.
It's kind of, I think it's depends on the drug. Like each drug accesses or affects different parts of the brain, basically. So when I take basically just take a NyQuil at night, for example, before I go to bed because I have a cold, I have some messed up dreams that night. My dreams are always messed up whenever I take NyQuil. I just have all these vivid, really strange, bizarre dreams that usually don't take place unless I have the NyQuil before. So it's because of this chemical that's, all these chemicals that are causing havoc in the brain, basically. So it all depends on, the type of drug. DMT, I think, accesses certain parts of the brain that have to do with probably creativity, have to do with, I don't know, imagery and things like that. And it's hallucinogenic as well, so.
Yeah, I mean, you could get that same kind of effect from all manner of drugs, not just very specific drugs.
Yeah, I mean, when people have schizophrenia, for example, they have certain parts of their brains that are doing strange things. Like, did you ever see the movie A Good Mind or something with mind in it? But the guy was hallucinating a brilliant mind. A beautiful mind. That's it. A beautiful mind. So the guy's hallucinating about 10 different people in that movie, and he doesn't know who's a hallucination and who's not a hallucination because they seem so real to him. But that's because his brain is doing weird things. So same thing, DMT, I think, just accesses certain parts of your brain that causes types of hallucinations. So
I hear you.
Yeah. And another thing is, like, supposing that you could make the reality be what you wanted, like you could always make the reality that a person's experiencing be positive, wouldn't we all want to do that?
I think so, Chandler. I think like the standard kind of consensus is that it's not possible. In other words, like it's not possible to constantly feel, let's say, blissful. But I'm thinking, like, just like with the exponential growth of technology, I think we'll eventually reach a point where we will, like, bioengineer unpleasantness, suffering completely out of the human species.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your audio for some reason is like cutting up, so we're not hearing you very well.
Yeah, did you say you will bioengineer negative experiences or positive ones?
Is he there?
Hey, George, you there?
Hello?
Oh, we lost George.
God damn it.
Well, I still see him though, but.
Oh yeah, that's weird. Okay, yeah. Oh, you there, George?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we hear you. For a while, your audio cut out, and then we didn't hear you for a while.
All right, so yeah, I don't know what happened. So like, where were we? Yeah, so like, the idea, basically, I was saying like that we could completely engineer suffering out of our human experience, just completely, so we never like suffer again. What are your thoughts on that? Chandler, that was kind of like where you were going, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because we've talked about this. Like, if there was a happiness pill or whatever, like if you could just make people never suffer, you'd want to do that, wouldn't you? I mean, I would.
Yeah, it's a catch-20. I think what'll probably end up happening is we'll have a technical. We'll basically become transhuman in a way that we'll be able to turn off negative experiences that we don't want to have, but at the same time, if we want to have an experience that's outside of an entirely pleasurable one for some odd reason, then we could probably do that as well. But we'd have more control over the experiences we do have, and be able to prevent the really bad ones, for example, like the extreme pain or things like that.
Right, because the philosophical argument that I've heard for years is like, well, if we were blissed out, whatever, we need the pain to be able to appreciate the pleasure. But then like I remember several years ago, it dawned on me that like, well, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I
Go
hear
ahead.
you.
One more time.
All right, so it dawned on me. People say that like you need pain in order to appreciate the pleasure. So then it dawned on me several years ago, well, wait a minute, like we like value life. We really appreciate living, right? And
Yeah.
I don't remember ever having been dead. We don't remember having. So that's kind of like a philosophical, logical example how you can experience one thing without experiencing, let's say, its opposite or its lack of it.
Yeah, I never bought into that idea that you needed one for the other. We know that there's pleasure centers in the brain and things like that are separate from pain centers. Now I know that our brains kind of the two kind of work together. Like you're in pain, you lose that pain for some reason, like you take a pain reliever and that gives you pleasure because you're it's called a relief pleasure. I think of a lot of our pleasures are relief pleasures, relieving negative experiences basically.
But what that's actually doing is activating pleasure centers and things like that. So it's you can have one without the other. You don't need one, doesn't necessitate the other. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I don't think that you have to experience pain to experience pleasure. And some people say that, but it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like, because I don't see how somebody who has experienced more pain in their life will somehow get more pleasure. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, you can think of a hypothetical scenario where someone's never experienced anything bad yet. Let's say they just come into existence and they have yet to experience anything bad, and we drug them up. We give them the best, most pleasurable drug ever. At that point, they would experience that pleasure without ever experiencing anything negative prior. So it's not like one necessitates the other necessarily.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree there.
Right. I'm wondering whether through nanotechnology or bioengineering, we could just, basically turn off or, deactivate these pain structures in our brain. So we still the messages that tell us to pull our hand away from a hot stove or something still get through, but just without the sensation of pain.
Right. Well, some people think like you need the pain of getting to a certain point to get to the pleasure. So climbing the mountain, and all the pain of climbing that mountain, and then when you get to that top of that mountain, that's when you have the pleasure of the fact that you accomplished something, and all these different things that cause your pleasure. But I say that you could actually replicate that same pleasure state, the same brain state that you have at the top of the mountain, without having the actual climb. So I don't agree that you necessarily once technological advances happen that you necessarily need to endure the pain to get to the pleasure state.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Yeah.
So what else is amazing?
Huh.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think up something amazing, but I don't know if I can top what we've talked already so far.
In a way, just reality, just the fact that everything exists. That's pretty amazing. I mean, I can't, and I guess also the billions of years that we didn't exist, or just no, I don't know. Just the fact. I guess we talked about this before. The eternity of existence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Eternity of existence. If it's eternal, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting thing. Let's say that we went along with an acausal event, which I don't agree with. Say there was an acausal event that started things. Here's the trouble: there would have to be a pre-existing nature in order to have a pre-existing law of nature that allows for acausal events. So that would have to be like a pre-existing reality that allowed acausal events.
Well, we could imagine, something coming from nothing. But yeah, I know that it's a bizarre concept. It's just like, what does that even mean? Something coming from nothing. But if you think about it, what does it mean to say that something is an infinite regress either? Like infinite regress? It just that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. So you have two very counterproductive or counterintuitive problems there. So.
All right, so then the question becomes, is our understanding of logic not strong enough to to basically, make that make sense? Or do you think that just like it defies, our ability to understand through logic, and will always?
Or here's
Well,
it.
I don't think it's like it has much to do with logic. Like you can. I don't think either of them are necessarily illogical. For example, I just think that they're just hard to imagine. You can't.
Well,
like,
but the idea is, for example, like they're mutually exclusive. In other words, like if reality is eternal, then it can't be finite. And even though both are logical, one has to be wrong logically, right?
Right. We just don't know. Right. So we don't have enough information, and we'll never have enough information to know. I think.
And here's a question, guys. Let's suppose that when the man-made machines and the artificial intelligence, like it becomes conscious or something. Well, then which will the robots believe in? Will they believe in an infinite regress, or will they believe there was an actual beginning somewhere?
I don't know. Maybe they'll be able to solve the problem because they'll be far more intelligent than we are.
Yeah, that's my thought exactly, Trick.
Maybe.
Guys, you guys got
computers work. They're gonna go the most efficient route. So they're gonna solve it. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got to read that book. I mean, like basically, it's a big book, and once you get past the beginning, it gets more and more complex, and kind of like lost me because you have to it's just presenting so much information and fields that I'm not familiar with. But the beginning of the book presents the basic theory of it, and that just blew my mind. Just like the accelerating pace of exponential growth in technology and civilization and like in progress. It's unbelievable.
What they say is like the younger you are today, the longer you're gonna live. So somebody that Chandler's age has a better chance of living even eternally than me and you, George, because we're kind of older. Because by the time...
Well, to be honest, in this shit world, I don't want to live forever.
Well, I don't mean eternally. There's no such thing as eternally. I'm just saying for a very long time, eventually the universe is going to
right.
run out of energy and everything. But
yep.
Wow, I got these two dragonflies just doing this wild dance in front of me. It's very cool.
Oh man,
I'll be swatting at them at this point.
Hey, unless if they were bothering you, maybe, but if they're not doing anything to you, you wouldn't swat them.
I don't like bugs. What part of that you not understand?
I know you don't like bugs, but well, that's why they're called bugs, WSD.
Yeah, I'm not a big nature fan myself. I go outside and I get eaten alive by mosquitoes. So, I hate mosquitoes.
Hate them bastards. Another bastard I hate is bed bugs. You better hope you never get them bastards.
Oh yeah, we've had those before.
Yeah, like I said, I had them one time. I couldn't afford a exterminator, so I just went to work. I got me a spray that kills them. I stayed up all night one time trying to kill them bastards. Chase them in their cubby hole, and unload it. I went full out Rambo on them. I was getting the fuck out of here.
Oh man.
I swear, it went like this. It went from like seeing them once a day, seeing them everywhere, to seeing one once a day, to seeing one every 2 days. Then every week I'll see them. Then the third week could turn into a month. That month, then non-existent.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I'll find them, they'll be dead. They'll mention the traps I'll be setting up for them.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, Chandler. He's killing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, I know, but I don't want them bothering WSD. This is a lose-lose situation, sort of a thing. Hey, that's another amazing thing. Okay, it's amazing, but also very disturbing. This whole idea that we're having to choose between one evil or another, like the evil of the bugs terrorizing WSD or WSD terrorizing the bugs. It's like what either the bugs kill him or he kills them. It's like there's no way for both to get what they want.
Right. Well, hopefully, Chandler, hopefully, it really doesn't matter maybe to a bug whether it's alive or dead. I mean, that might, I hope it's like that.
We're proper
I
dead.
hope it's like that. But, all right, relative to this, guys, like, in terms of like veganism, all this cruel treatment of animals, I don't know if I mentioned this before, like a week or two ago or so, but like, we're about 5-10 years away from being able to grow, for example, beef and chicken and all in labs and market it at the same price as meat is sold in supermarkets today. So like,
Right.
and that's, that is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I'm a big supporter of in vitro meat. I think that's the way to go, since I don't think the majority are going to accept no meat. Now, I know there's going to be a big, like, for some reason people have to have real meat. They can't have this fake stuff. But I think once it becomes almost identical in taste and things like that, then I think it's going to be like people will eventually be embarrassed if they have to have real meat. Like there's no reason for that kind of unethical thing when you don't have to have it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up, Trick, because and I feel like this is important to mention because on our previous episode, the one where we had Peter, he had that mindset, that it's better to kill real and eat real animals than to have synthetic meat. And I find this to be a weird naturalistic fallacy, this idea that there's one thing that's real as opposed to another thing that's not, and that one's better than another. Because it doesn't make any sense at all.
Not only that is, they say that in vitro meat's going to be a lot more healthy. It's not going to have like the hormone injections that people do to the animals. Basically, it's not going to have all the chemicals. It's not going to have. So it's going to be. They say it's going to be a lot more healthy than. They can do it without all the fat and things like that. So
what I think? I think the people in power, the people that have a lot of money and have the influence on civilization right now, they are not tuning people's conscience into the this reality of how cruel we are because they can't make money on it, right?
Yep,
but
exactly.
as soon as they can scale up this in vitro meat to the point that like 5-10 years from now they can sell it as comparable prices to this animal meat.
Yeah.
I think then it shouldn't take them that long to basically awaken the world's conscience to how horrible we've been.
Yeah.
I would like to. Here's what I would like to happen. Okay, imagine this: it becomes so cheap for them to produce that lab-grown stuff that in all the fast food restaurants and all of that, they are buying that from the scientists.
They'll have to change their mindset.
Well, here's the deal. They would.
Yeah.
Okay, listen to this, guys. Now, these restaurants are doing that because it's cheaper for them than buying the so-called real animals. So they do that, and that's what's in their burgers, and none of the customers know it. That's the idea, is that if the consumer never knows the difference and it's biologically identical, they never know it, then that's good, because I personally would just prefer that it be switched without people's knowledge or consent.
Right.
And that's actually, we're talking about things that are amazing. I think it's beyond understanding how the world doesn't get this yet. I mean, I don't get it. It's just like we kind of like are so puzzled about how people, can believe they have a free will. How can people not get? I mean, people have dogs and cats and parrots and stuff. How can they not understand how cruel it is to treat those animals the way we do?
I know. I find it so unbelievable too. I mean, I just don't get it, because we don't even have to get people to see those other animals as being equal to human life, even though of course I do, obviously. We only need to get them to respect those other animals as much as they do their dog or their cat or their parrot, Yeah.
It's conditioning since you're a child, though, right? So that's what happens. People get conditioned. It's almost like a religion. People are conditioned to a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw that. I think it was a Spielberg's film Amistad or Armistad or something. It was about this English town of 13,000. I don't know, in the 1600s, 1700s, I don't know, and they were the ones who finally, like, woke up to like how wrong slavery was, right? And so it started in this hub, in these, again, a town of 13,000 people, and then it just exploded to the world. So in other words, like, there are kind of like tipping points, and there's kind of like a point after which enough people get it. Just like with technology, then it explodes and everybody gets it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to happen. It has to.
Yeah, and here's the thing that's weird about it, guys. And now I've been thinking a lot about this lately. I've just been thinking about how societal change doesn't really happen that much because people change, but because they die out and different people take over.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely generational. So each generation now, the problem is when generations are brought up by past generations, and they're brought up with religion. And
or brought up to be selfish.
Right, but like I said, 30 years ago we didn't even have a high-speed internet connection. Now today not everybody's connected. There's people in third world countries that aren't connected yet, but eventually everybody will be connected, and once that happens, there's a lot more reason or people can actually have access to the information that they need. So,
hey, you know what's happening? All right, basically in medicine, they're finding, for example, like, instead of like telling a doctor one's symptoms and just inputting, a doctor analyzing data to come up with a diagnosis and treatment and all, they're actually, feeding that stuff into computers who are like rendering as accurate decisions, or perhaps even more accurate than our doctors. So imagine a world run like that. So like when we go to elections, right? It wouldn't be like we were kind of like voting for one person against the other. We might be voting for IBM's Watson against, like, Apple's. I don't know.
No. I would vote for Watson every time.
Yeah. But think about that, because, like, we might have our world run by computers that we have engineered to not be selfish and not be greedy and to make far wiser decisions than we could ever make.
Yeah, we have to program them with a lot of safety measures, basically, because and we have to get those safety measures right is the problem. So,
well, okay, now here's a question, guys. What if something really bad happens? Just for the sake of some humor, go with me on this. Okay, imagine if they programmed computers that believe these harmful fundamentalist religions like Islam and Christianity. Imagine if there were computers that believe those. How would that even work?
You have to program it to believe it.
I know.
They would create viruses to destroy themselves. They would have holy war against each other.
Yeah, I know. The robots would go to holy war, and see, they would each these computers would believe that they would get the correct afterlife, that they would have a soul, and that would go to a certain afterlife based on what they did. That'd be weird.
Yeah, you're scaring me, Chandler.
Yeah, I know.
That would be a scary situation.
I know. That is a very scary thought, but I worry about these things.
Yeah. Hey, George, speaking of the medical thing, I have a software running on my computer that's called Boinc, B-O-I-N-C, and what it does is it allows people in the medical community to use your computer when it's idle to cure cancer or all these different scientific objectives, basically. So for processing power, it allows it to distribute their processing power amongst a community of people. So it's an interesting software because it's just when your computer is in idle mode, basically. When you're on it turns off. But it's just one more thing that kind of helps the world, and I think it's a good software. So.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard of it, and also cloud computing. The idea that we don't have to have programs on our computers anymore; it can all be like in the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you can connect this BOINC to a cryptocurrency. I don't know if you guys are familiar with cryptocurrencies, which is like digital currency. But this digital currency, basically, you can do what's called mining by using the BOINC. So it's kind of like a reward for doing the BOINC is you get some cryptocurrency from it, but money, basically.
Interesting.
All right, how about I've got another
get rid of
idea.
the currency altogether because, like I said, money. That's one of the reasons why we get into these problems.
All right, one of the problems with the world today, and let's explore how possible this might be. People lie, politicians lie, corporate, like they tell us that they think.
I don't know.
They tell us they think climate change is not happening when they really know it is and all. So like these lies, I think, are just like, especially when they're coming from leaders, I think wreak havoc on civilization. So the idea is like, I wonder how close we are to a 100% accurate lie detector test. What do you guys think? What are the challenges in that?
I think we're getting there actually with that, especially when it comes to neuroscience. I don't think the lie detector tests that we have, like the one that you just put up to your vital signs, they don't.
Yeah,
work.
that's not reliable.
Yeah, those are known as not being reliable. But I think
because like I said, that's why they don't use them in courts. Because if you're nervous, they're going to say that it's lying. But that's a nervous situation.
Right. But now that we're in the era where where neuroscience is where it's at, I think an absolute lie detector test will be in the near future.
Would that work like it can read your brain activity, and the brain activity will let them know if someone's telling the truth or lying?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it would know exactly. Beyond any reasonable doubt, anyway. So.
Technologies may also be able to be combined. In other words, like there's like voice recognition, can give a somewhat accurate, understanding with stress levels and all. Then there's eye movements. Then there's micro emotions. You
can combine them all, right? So you don't have to rely just on one facet, basically. So.
That would be so amazing. And probably like, our cell phones probably have enough computing power to be able to like, just like, let's say it was based on a microphone, a camera. I'm not sure what else a cell phone could do, but yeah, to be able to like, that everybody could have access to that.
The concern is that if people's brains can be programmed, then that they might be programmed to do bad things and believe bad things, and under a lie detector test, they could be programmed to actually believe that something actually took place when it didn't. So you have to be careful about that technology too.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, because if a person believes something, then they're not actually lying when they say it. So how in the world would, like, a machine could detect whether a person was intentionally lying about what they believe, but it wouldn't be able to say anything about the truth or falseness of their statement.
Right.
Well, actually,
exactly.
Chandler, that takes us into the realm of free will, because basically, at least my understanding is that our consciousness is what our unconscious makes us aware of, because all of the data and the processing and the principles are at the level of the unconscious. It's our unconscious that's actually, making our decisions. So it could be that that even though we might, our unconscious kind of like is making us believe that something that we're kind of like telling the truth, it might on a deeper level know that we're lying. So it's like, so in other words, like we might have to access our unconscious for that information.
Wow.
Yeah. But when we get into programming brains, then that's what we're doing, is we're changing the hardware. We're changing the actual brain unconscious part of it. So when we do that, then like I said, there'd be no way of detecting that the person didn't truly believe it. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's some crazy stuff, guys. Huh.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other strange things you guys want to talk about? This is the strange talk about episode.
Yeah. I don't even know what we're
Yeah. Just like I was at the Franklin Institute, right? Trying to say that trying to do this lie detector thing, right? There's one guy, I tried to fool him, right? Couldn't do it. So like this, I gave him a hard stare. He's like I said, he told me pick a number, right? On the screen. So I picked the number, I looked at him. I gave him a hard stare, right? I gave him a hard stare, right? So he asked me, did you pick this number? I said no. He said, did he ask me to pick number 2? I said no. Then I picked number 3. I said no. It was 2. But yeah. He looked at they have a payback thing on their side, right? So he looked at it, he said you picked number 2. I'm like, how the hell did he do that? Yeah. I was thinking how the hell did he do that?
What do you guys think of cryonics? You know, we've got like about 30 people that are frozen. Let's say, you know, somebody's been frozen for 30 years. We bring them back to life. Would we have to conclude that the person was technically dead? And you know, what would we make? I mean, let's say the person started. I don't know. What do you think of that prospect? What would happen?
So cryonics or cryogenics, I don't see why. Well, they wouldn't be dead for cryogenic. Are you talking about cryogenics like once you're dead, like once you die, and then they freeze your body and then try to revive it later on? Is that what you're talking about?
Right. So basically, they stop the decomposition of the body.
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah.
That's the difference between cryonics and cryogenics. Okay, so yeah. That is a little weird. I think who's doing that right now? There's some rich people that are currently doing that, like 250
Why would
bodies.
they want to do that? They're gonna wake up into a fucked up world.
Well, no, maybe 100 years from now, it might be a bliss.
Yeah, I don't know.
We can all dream, right?
Yeah, that'd be weird. Yeah, I mean, now of course, if we could end up being like frozen for 500 years and then wake up in idiocracy.
Yeah. So I don't think you did technically be able to wake up at that point because there'd be no one to fix you. But so the idea of I can't even pronounce it. Chironics is that in the future they'll be able to revive a dead person because they'll be able to revive a dead person or they'll be able to take their brain structure and revive that brain structure into another form basically. So you'd have the same person with the same thoughts and stuff like that in the future. And I just say I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. You agree?
Actually, I think they've succeeded, like with frogs and goldfish. I think they've frozen goldfish and brought them back to life.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, once transhumanism is here, once everybody's machines, there'd be no reason why they wouldn't be able to do that. So
again, with that book that I'm reading, like the singularity is near. Another thing that he said, some people theorize that, like, we think that energy is the fundamental building block of the universe, mass energy. This person was speculating, theorizing that actually it might be information. And I'm not sure I know what he means well enough to explain it in more detail, but somehow like that information gives rise to energy, which gives rise to whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to read his books. I don't know what he means by information there. Do you have
Yeah, because like they were speculating whether the information is analog or digital, and at that point my mind is blown. I couldn't understand what they were referring to.
Maybe we're in the Matrix. Is that what you say? I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, because have you ever heard, like, mathematicians will say this, and I've never agreed with it, but it's kind of like that everything is math, and fine, I get that you can like measure everything, I guess, quantitatively, but that's a different thing from saying that everything is math. But I'm wondering if, like, fundamentally everything is binary or like digital in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see that. And yeah, the math thing, we use math to figure out the universe, but that doesn't mean that everything is math, I guess. So anyway.
All right, Trick, you just reminded me. Remember when we were exploring this this idea of space-time, of
Yes.
time, space, and all. Now, if space and time are kind of like mass and energy, like apparently you can't have space without time, and you can't have time without space, right? Oh, we got into this. I think we explored this, but it's just like, I guess like the question I'm asking is, what is time? Cause we have like this physicality and this time that apparently you can't have space without, and the time is, I guess, is time also related to like what curves objects, within space? It's space-time that curves, right, around objects.
Right. Well, it depends on what theory that you're going by. So if you go through, there's the A theory of time and the B theory of time. The A theory of time is everything is caused. There's a causal flow. There's actual flow of time. And then there's the B theory of time, where everything already exists, which I don't buy the B theory for various reasons.
Yeah. All right. I just remembered another one. All right, and like we've explored this before, but like it's something that like to me doesn't make sense. It's like, for example, in geometry, right? Let's say the singularity was, let's say, the size of a quark, or the size of an atom, or the size of p, right? Now they say it expanded, and an expansion was kind of like the expansion of like raisins, in a raisin bread or something, or balloon, whatever. They have different analogies, but again, they also say that the universe doesn't have a center, but like I can't, to my mind, if you start out with a universe that's the size, for example, of a quark, and how could you not have a center? I mean, like, what do you guys, what's your positions on that? What's your thinking?
Yeah, that's another one of those mysteries, really. Like the expansion of the universe is based on what we can observe of the universe, and what we observe is kind of, you could kind of think of it like a film, like the balloon analogy. So if you're blowing up a balloon, if there's a balloon but there's no hole, like let's say there's no hole that you can blow in, just a balloon that blows up that doesn't have any holes in it. So it's just a balloon that's blowing up, and everything on the surface of that balloon is all the different planets and different galaxies and things like that. That's the common theory of expansion. Now, whether there's something in the middle, whether there's like a balloon would have air in the middle, obviously. So whether there's something in the middle that's just space, empty space, basically, that we don't know. So.
All right, I think I may be getting it. So like basically you're saying that like, 'cause like, does that refer to like this idea that the universe is curved, and if it's curved that it's kind of like a flat surface? It's not like three-dimensional like we perceive it. It's like, more of a sheet that's curved. And
yeah, you could think of it like the balloon is curved, and then if you think of like gravity curving it as well, you could think of like the things that are on it, or on that surface, kind of bending the balloon sheet down. It is a bad metaphor, basically.
All right, but let's say we went with that, right? But we're starting at a quark or an atom, right? And we go with, instead of its three-dimensional kind of like a, the inside of the balloon expanding or inflating, whatever, that it's a sheet, right? But even so, geometrically, wouldn't there be a center of that sheet?
Well, that we don't know. We don't have access to any centers is the point. So whether there is or not, there might be. That might be. It just might be space as far as we know, but we know that everything is expanding outward, and our observable universe is on kind of this film on this sheet.
All right, so
because it's a big thick film, but it's
right.
It's,
Trick, what
it's, go ahead.
Yeah, Trick, what you're saying is because sometimes I read in physics books that and on the internet that like the universe has no center. So what you're saying is actually that's like a misstatement of it. It's just like that we don't know of a center. We can't detect the center, just like we can't detect what happened before the Big Bang.
Right. I mean, we could say it has no center, or we could say, I mean, to be technical, we would have to say we don't observe a center. So that's what in science terms we don't have, but.
I'm glad you cleared that up for me. Cool, thanks.
But yeah, so everything in our universe is expanding outward, kind of like that big balloon. Now, that's just one theory. There's other theories as well, like there's a donut theory and things like that. So they're not all. There's not. All that.
I say it's a bagel.
You say it's a bagel, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or an
overgrown. Like donuts.
Yeah. Or an overgrown Cheerio.
Now, what's interesting about the balloon theory is if we were able to somehow travel in a straight line in the universe, we can go straight and then come back around to the Earth, theoretically. If you could actually travel the universe, if you could actually.
Well, I mean, so then like.
I don't think so, because I don't think the Earth is going to be in the same spot coming back.
Well,
because everything's moving.
Yeah, well.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if that has something to do with entanglement. It's like if two entangled particles are on either side of the universe, maybe they are like right together in a certain sense.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Like some say, you could fold space-time, and you can create a wormhole through it. So if you have a wormhole going to two sections of the universe, basically. Anyway.
So are these kinds of problems like amenable to, like, for example, if we have much faster computer processing with much stronger artificial intelligence, do you think these problems are amenable to that kind of like solution, to kind of like no more, rather than we as human beings theorizing what it might be?
You're saying in the future, when we become more technologically advanced, will we have better answers to these questions? Is that
like 10, 20 years. Yeah, like that for some reason, when our brains, our human brains, can't, let's say, put all the factors together and calculate them or work with them, whatever, in a way that'll give us the right answer. But maybe these artificial intelligence might.
Well, I think what would be more likely is the artificial intelligence would find a way to get more information than what we currently have. So more information about the physics of the universe, or more information about just they might in the future we might be able to send probes farther out into the universe that can give us more information. So. But I don't know about 20 years. I would give it a little longer than that. Probably about 50.
Well,
that's why.
Your current state of mind that humanity is in. No, give it a couple years.
This guy Kurzweil, he says that like by 49 or something like that, we will be able to export our intelligence throughout the entire universe. Now again, that's I don't know how he gets there.
That's far-fetched.
I'm telling you, if you guys begin just like the first, I don't know how many pages it was because I was on a Kindle and I was listening to it, but the beginning of the book, it just like it's surreal, you know, just like what this exponential growth in technology actually, you know, just predicts for the future.
I know. I just know there's a lot of assessments about how quick this exponential technological growth is going to happen, and some of them say it's going to happen like you say in the next 10, 20 years we're going to hit that singularity point. Other people say in the next 100 or so years, and some people say farther out.
Assuming we're around 100 years.
I don't think we will be.
Well, no, you guys might be. You two are young, so you might be around in 100 years because with the growth of medicine and things like that.
That's not the reason why we say we might not be around.
Yeah, I think it's going to be due to. Oh,
I see.
Yeah, due to like either war or climate change, or all the trees are gone, there's no oxygen, or something like that.
Or all of the above.
Yeah,
that's the other problem is we have two lines. One is our technological growth, and the other is our wisdom. I don't know. Our technological growth might go up. You might see that go extremely upward, but our wisdom might still be too low, and so it's not keeping up with the technological growth. And that could cause problems because we could just destroy ourselves as soon as we have the technology to do so, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's
already doing that now.
Well, to some degree, yeah, but
and then there's other funny things.
It'll be a lot easier with the technology, like with nanotechnology and things like that, for somebody.
You will think a nuke can destroy. Okay.
Okay, and guys, here's. Well, here's
it's not easy to do that, but it'll be a lot easier in the future, is what I'm saying.
Well, and then here's another thing that is interesting. Like one thing that kills people is, you know, they're surrounded by all this technology, all these, you know, smartphones and all these computers that can do amazing stuff. So like then it leads to problems such as teenagers texting while driving. You know, and then they end up in car wrecks that way. That's one example. Another example is I heard about this. There was some woman who was playing Pokemon Go on her phone, and she got stuck up in a tree somehow. Like, what? Like, it's just like weird stuff happens when dumb humans have this technology.
Oh yeah. Well, they say that there's a certain number of accidents occur because of Pokemon Go. People going into very dangerous places and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, I know.
It's interesting, guys. This singularity is near. It's gotten me rethinking the climate change. In other words, like according to our current technology, whatever, you know, we're already past the point of no return. You know, like there's no, you know, reasonable way of turning back this acceleration of greenhouse gases and the tipping points and all that. But
there is, they just won't want to do it.
Well, the thing is, like, well, if there isn't, the point would be that, you know, these assessments are based on present technology. So, like, for example, let's say there's still research on cold fusion. That's now they call it something else because, like, you know, cold fusion has such a bad name to it, bad rep. But for example, that's, you know, if we were able to like do that, then we would have more than enough energy to probably suck, you know, all that extra greenhouse gas, you know, from the atmosphere. So again, this acceleration in computer technology may lead to like innovation in, you know, like energy and things like that might just like accelerate our technology to the point that we can reverse this climate change.
We don't know. We'll have to see. But in the meantime, climate change is happening quicker than we think, and it's going to affect a lot of people. Even if we do find a solution later on, in the meantime, in the wake, there's going to be a lot of.
See, we got, like I said, when it comes to find a solution, we know a solution. The man just doesn't want to do it. Too caught up with the money.
Yeah,
Well,
but
no, there's more than that. Isn't it? Like, for example, like right now, the amount of money and energy it would cost, let's say, to reverse the climate change and bring the atmosphere back to right, it would just be astronomical. We don't have, near the technology, but eventually we might.
Well, actually, here's an example of how climate change could be completely stopped. Now, of course, this requires humanity to suddenly completely vanish off the face of the earth. Okay, of course we don't get to enjoy it. But so here's the thing: if humans let's say that we all just vanished, or say we were all abducted off of Earth by aliens or something like that. So then, with no humans, nature runs wild. The plants grow back. The forests grow back.
We're gonna still cause havoc. What do you think the nuclear power plants are going to do?
oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
they say that if
don't believe me. Watch the show 100 and watch the end the show season 4 of 100 or the beginning. Yeah, that is going to have that effect.
yeah, all of the basically what you'd have all the growth and wildlife grow in, and then eventually all of the nuclear power plants would break down and destroy everything around them. So yeah.
What do you guys know of any technology? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Do you guys know of any technology that has been designed to basically make that material non-radioactive? That we don't have to we can reverse it somehow, just like chemically alter it, so like we don't have to store it anymore. Just like we take the radioactivity out of it.
Basically.
Or I mean, again, this is like chemistry. I don't know. It's chemistry. I don't know what it is. But just like it became radioactive, so why can't there be a process to make it unradioactive?
We don't have that yet, anyway. But
nope,
maybe in the future, because radioactivity has to do with breaking down atoms, basically. So
you have to build those atoms back up.
Is my camera on? Cause
yeah, your camera's on, George. So
I don't know how that turned on. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we probably do need to wrap up this episode. This has been interesting, guys. So let's see. But do you
be careful at Central Park at night and hear stories?
Yeah. So, do you any of you guys have good ideas for a title for this episode? Because this is absolutely crazy.
Wow, this is so random. I don't know.
Talking about strange things. I don't know.
That could work.
Yeah, no, just amazing things. Yeah, our amazing universe, our amazing reality.
Yeah, I guess so. Something like that.
Can you guys see the Manhattan skyline? Because I'm pointing the camera out, but I can't see where it's like.
Yeah, I see a bunch of buildings.
Oh, yeah. Cool. All right, yeah.
Dang, I was there 6 months ago.
On its side, but yeah.
Was it 6 months ago? Yeah, I believe it was 6. I was there in December. I was down there in December.
You must have good data speed if you're able to do that outside.
Well, I've got a Wi-Fi box, one of these little boxes, so I've got it with me. It's right here. Yeah.
I see.
Oh, okay.
I wish I could turn this camera off. I don't know how to figure this out.
Huh.
Why don't we close down the episode?
Hit the camera thing.
Yeah.
The camera button is on your Steam.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Steam, Skype.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we really should close out this episode. Was there anything anybody else wanted to say before I officially just close it?
No, this was fun.
Yeah, this was fun.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, anyway, thank you for listening to Philosophy, Science, and Religion. And we've been talking about some strange and amazing things. And we've just kind of been all over the place. We haven't stayed on one topic. But this was kind of fun and relaxing, just talking about all these possibilities of future technology. So we should do this again sometime from time to time, just explore these kind of fun topics. Anyway, thank you for listening, and stay safe, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.
Yeah!